Welcome to Business Success. I'm Chloe James for RFI Group. Having recently returned from an overseas business trip, it seems pretty fitting that tonight's show should focus on exactly that, being up in the air. Some of the most innovative business ideas today can be found in the travel sector. One, I'm sure many would agree, is pretty ripe for disruption and full of opportunity. Steve Hui, affectionately known as the Points Whisperer, is CEO of iFLYflat, a travel rewards points management system established after the world-travelled banker began to see the hidden value in travel rewards points. And what do we typically do when we're up in the air? We listen to music, we watch films, and generally wire ourselves for sound. Which brings me to tonight's second guest, one-of-a-kind headphone creator, Neura. Neura is a world-first innovation. They've created headphones that automatically adapt to your unique hearing and deliver sound perfectly for you. Neura also happens to, just as of yesterday, be the most funded Australian Kickstarter campaign ever. But more on that a little bit later. Just firstly, the business news for today. Australian retail sales rose a meagre 0.2% in May, missing economists' expectations. Sales were dragged down by sharp falls in household goods and clothing. Meanwhile, Australia posted a trade deficit of over $2 billion, surpassing expectations of a $1.7 billion deficit. Uncertainty towards the federal election and concerns over global outlook is weighing on consumer confidence. The ANZ Roy Morgan report showing sentiment easing in the week ending July 3rd, down 0.9%. While consumers' views on current finances declined, the overall trends remained above average, while views on the economic outlook improved. The election deadlock is likely to affect household confidence in the coming weeks. A private survey of China's services sector gained traction in June, hitting an 11-month high. The Taixin Services PMI index rose to 52.7 in June, up from 51.2 in May, where readings above 50 indicate expansion. It's a welcome change from China's struggling manufacturing sector, signalling that the economy is rebalancing. However, a composite measure of both manufacturing and services activity fell a near-neutral 50.3 on month, raising concerns that strength in services will not be enough to offset weakness in manufacturing. So, when you're a banker for Macquarie who finds himself flying around internationally on an almost weekly basis, it's wise to get pretty savvy about the points you're racking up. Tonight's first guest left his suits behind after he realised an opportunity in an area that people love to enjoy, me being one of them. It's affordable luxury travel. So welcome, Steve, to the show.
Hi, thank you.
CEO of iFLYflat. I thought it was best just to start tonight with, tell us a little about the business. When did you start and what do you do?
Sure. Well, I wore a suit for today.
Yes, I know. Ruining my speech.
Yes, I started 4 years ago after realising that people have frequent flyer points, but they didn't know what to do with them. And the whole system was geared up to be made really complex. So I thought it shouldn't be that way. I thought getting your points that you've earned and that you've been promised to and getting the rewards should actually be really easy. So really I just set up a system. An award system, like an advisory business, to help people realise how many points they've got, what they can do with them, and actually get the seats that they want. Because
that's what it is, isn't it? You have so many different sort of reward schemes and you don't actually know what you've got. I actually don't know what I've got in all of mine. And it's so your management system, you know, people come to you, businesses come to you, this is correct, and they can kind of tell you their points and tally them up, and you can tell them what they're, you know, what they're applicable for.
Yeah, and more the case of how many points that they're missing out on a daily basis.
Right.
Because as a business, they're spending so much money running the business, paying bills, paying rent, paying tax. You can pay all that on your credit card, earn points, and then use those points to fly cheaply.
Right, so it's understanding the credit cards and the points on that and then putting them towards the travel.
That's right, yeah, and using which different airlines charge different prices.
Fantastic. So 4 years, what has the last 4 years been like? Let's just have a little chat about perhaps right back at the very start to where you find yourself today and how things have changed.
Yeah, you sort of think that you work pretty hard at Macquarie Bank, and the whole idea is that
so I've heard.
You'll go home at maybe 7:30, 8, 9. Yep. But when you do your own business, you don't stop. So working to 11 p.m. is normal. Waking up at 7, working to midnight is normal. Working on weekends is normal. So that's probably, in a way, a big change, but really not what you expected. Because when people say, "Oh, you're your own boss," you know, you can do what you like. But actually, you can do what you like, but there's so much to do.
But if you love what you do, which obviously you do, do you think that's some good advice to people starting businesses out there, that if you're loving what you do, you're happy to work all of those hours around the clock?
Yeah, you are, in fact, very much happy to work because you are achieving your goals and you're making achievements step by step. So sometimes you're doing things you don't even know where it's going to go to. But you meet new customers, you do new deals all the time. So that's what keeps you going because you're actually incrementally improving.
Fantastic. And on to your customers. Who are your customer base? It's big businesses in Australia, obviously. Is it an Australian-based, completely based business?
Yes, it's a completely Australian-based business. We do have staff overseas, but we service predominantly Australian businesses. Actually, all levels, from small, medium, large businesses. So the type of business we help is people who have a minimum spend, and we say about $250,000 per year that you can pay on non-wage expenses. And that means that nearly anything you spend on non-wage, you can pay on a credit card. And $250,000 spend is about a business class flight per year you can earn from those points.
Okay, which I'm sure all of those businesses would be quite happy to take on. People in Australian businesses are obviously flying around all over the place, often to Asia. We do a lot of work up there.
Yep.
So it's something to look out for. Your team, how have you built the team that you've got there at iFLYflat?
Yeah, really just through networking.
Yep.
So as you grow, we find someone that from friends, and they start part-time, and then the role grows, they become full-time, and then whether they got other friends. So therefore, it's very ad hoc, very built.
Yep.
But then you realise what type of skills you really want. And it comes down to the core of the people, what they really want to do. And you can always teach the skills. And because what we do, I guess closest is probably to a travel agent. But it requires a lot of analytical skills, which means that really good at numbers, because we've got to calculate how many points people have, how many points they need to transfer from the credit card to airlines, and how many points you need to fly. So even if you're 1 point out, you can't book a flight, you have to have exactly.
Right, but you take, with the management system, you take all of that worry away from them, is that correct?
We take the worry away from the clients, but we've got to deal with the worry ourselves. So we do a lot of calculations, spreadsheets, calculators, and we also have a system where we feed a lot of information in.
And you were talking about building your team and that you've had friends of friends. Is that something you'd recommend, getting into business with friends and people that you meet like that?
Oh yeah, so friends and people who are available. So it's about matching. So I guess my whole model is the fact that you run a business, you can earn these points on the side and you can match them to flights. So the whole idea is that we work with friends of friends is because they have available capacity and they want to work. So therefore we have the right job for them. So it's not really just about working with friends and not with friends. It's all about the attitude. Are they the right person and do they want to work with you?
Yeah, so attitude over experience is probably quite true for a lot of the businesses that I speak to on the show, actually. Certainly something that to look out for when you're building your team. Onto technology. We talk a lot about that on Business Success. How has that enabled your business and how has that changed over the last 4 years? Because things are moving at such a pace now, and especially in the credit card space, and cards are under quite a challenge, certainly as an industry in themselves. How has that been for you?
Yes, in terms of technology, because we don't have an office. So I work in the office and everyone else works from home.
Okay.
So we use the technology to communicate.
Great.
So a lot of Skype, a lot of Slack, a lot of emails, a lot of WhatsApp. So therefore we can ask questions and get answers straight away. We also have some teams in Hong Kong and Philippines, so we talk through those methods. And then really to our customers as well. Well, actually to our customers, pretty much old school, email and phone. And that's what our customers like. So they just want to write where they want to go on email, and we just decipher what they want to do, and we sort of start searching for them. So rather than force them on a structured, they like unstructured. So we work with the customer however they like. But in terms of sort of finding technology, finding flights, that's become challenging.
Yes.
Because the airlines change the systems all the time. The credit card changes systems.
Yes.
But practically, I think it still comes down to why appropriately suited for this, because it's an accountant. It's just all about numbers and rules.
Right, okay.
As the accounting rules changed in the past, same as the airline rules.
Yeah, so you're taking the worry away and taking the accountancy and the numbers away from somebody else. Absolutely. Yep. Scalability and growth for the business. Where do you see yourself in the next sort of 12 to 18 months, and how will you get there?
So we're very much focused in Australia. So we want to grow across Australia. We've got customers actually all across Australia, all across the world. So we test it overseas, but we want to focus in Australia because Australia's in such a nice market where we're so far away from everything, and all the flight prices are so high. So you get really good value from frequent flyer points. So the next 12 to 18 months is focused on Australia, and then we probably expand to Asia. But eye on Australia.
Eye on Australia. And is it about marketing and awareness and sort of getting the name out there still? How do you feel your level of awareness is at the moment in the market?
I think we're pretty good. So when I go to networking functions, 4 out of 10 people know me from somewhere. They can't put their finger on it.
Okay.
So in terms of awareness, and iFLYflat, we're quite well known. And because our customers are business people, so they are very well networked. So we get a lot of referrals, and that's our number one growth strategy.
I imagine with word of mouth.
Yep.
Somebody saying, I saw some of your numbers before we were having a look at the brochure here, and some of the numbers are quite amazing actually about how you can actually upgrade for far less than I thought that you could. I need to get onto it.
Once you figure out, actually flying first class isn't very expensive.
Right.
So once you figure out the number of points you need,
Okay.
I guess I walk the talk, so I only fly first in business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not bad, not bad for you. Just quickly wrapping up, but advice to other entrepreneurs. You were in your job at Macquarie. I know you'd been 17 years in the financial services sector and went off to go it alone. What advice would you give to others out there who are, wanting to start their own business and try something new? Yeah,
I think the key is just to get your idea out there. So many people say, I don't want to tell people because it's such a good idea and they might steal it. But in fact, people don't want to steal it because the job of implementing is so hard that unless it's just like there's going to be a pile of cash waiting for you, they won't do it. So I guess the number one thing is just to get started, start sharing people and telling your ideas, and don't wait until it's perfect. Just start testing, asking, because whatever you want to build is never perfect in your eyes. So just get it out there.
Yep. Trial and error, go for that 98% and just keep on moving up with that. Fantastic. Well, look, Steve, we've got to wrap up the show, but the segment with you. But thank you. iFLYflat, the Points Whisperer, a really interesting concept and absolutely something that I need to get onto for when I'm next travelling. Thank you so much for being on the show, and look forward to seeing what comes next for you. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk about these young guns of the music and technology scene. Look forward to seeing you then. Welcome back to Business Success. I'm Chloe James. So, as I said before the break, Aussie startup Neura officially yesterday became the most funded Australian Kickstarter campaign ever, landing a $1.24 million in funding in just 3 weeks, more than 8 times what the investors set out to achieve. Not bad. So, born out of Melbourne, Neura are headphones that automatically learn unique hearing, adapting sound perfectly for any listener. The Kickstarter demand is clearly an indication that they're onto something pretty exciting for the music world, and I'm pleased to be joined by 2 of the founders actually, Kyle Slater and Luke Campbell. So Kyle, Luke, welcome to the show. It's going to be a bit of a tennis match here. I'll be kind of talking between the 2 of you. But
great to be with you.
Thank you. So CEO and CTO, just so everyone is aware who we're speaking to. Luke's obviously got the Neura headphones around his neck. I might start with you, Kyle, and just have a little bit of an overview of Neura. How did it start? Where did it start? Where did you come up with the idea?
Well, we really just asked ourselves the question, how do you make the perfect headphones? And what we realised is that the perfect headphones don't actually exist, only the ones that are perfect for you. So I went and approached Luke, who was a hearing scientist at the time, and essentially asked him if he could put a hearing measurement machine in a pair of headphones. He went away for about a day or 2 and said yes, he could, so we got to work.
Wow, amazing. So it connects to your brain as you're listening, is that right? Just to explain it, nut it down.
What we have done is we've actually put a little microphone in the earpiece.
Okay.
And the microphone picks up this very small signal that your ears create.
Okay.
It's called the autoacoustic emission, and so a lot of people don't realise your ears actually produce sound. They don't just receive sound.
Okay.
That microphone tells us the sounds that your ear make, and also informs us about your sensitivity to different frequencies of sound.
Amazing. So did you create this together when were you still at university, or you've graduated and formed this together since that point?
Yeah, we were actually both in our PhDs at the time.
Right.
So we were really, at the end, I was sort of coming to the very end of my PhD and was really looking for what to do next.
Yep.
And both of us had been making things for our entire life, so we decided to go that
So proper
road.
inventors.
Yeah, we've got the same looking garages.
Yeah, okay, right.
Full of things some things that worked, some things that failed,
Yep.
but we've always been very passionate makers.
Wow, how interesting. Luke, I might just kick over to you then. You're wearing the headphones around your neck. So Kyle obviously approached you. Can you tell me a little bit about you being a hearing scientist?
Well, I'm actually a medical doctor by training and worked as a doctor for a couple of years, and then was accepted onto the ear, nose and throat training program, so I'm trained to be a specialist there. And at the start of that, I decided to do a PhD to really learn more about the thing that I really love, which is hearing and the hearing system. And my specific topic was objective tests of hearing. That means a test of hearing where you don't have to push a button. When we came to the end of when I came to the last couple of years of my PhD and Carl approached me with this idea, it was just a really good fit for my skill set.
Yeah, absolutely, a nice match. So how did two guys who come up with this really pretty amazing idea in, I have to say, a sector that's, huge. The music industry is massive. Everybody wants to be listening to things, perfectly at the touch of their phone. All of the best music and technology in that space is huge. So you come up with this idea and then you create the Kickstarter campaign. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience and what it's been like?
Well, really, to begin with, it was just an idea, and we had to go out and actually build the first prototype. We really started off in a business accelerator at the Melbourne Accelerator program, and that gave us a few lessons about business and about how to think about how our company would evolve, assuming that we had the product in our hands. We thought about that, we put a great team together and formed a really good vision for the company. And following that, we went to China, to Shenzhen. We participated in the HAX Accelerator program.
Cool.
So 2 accelerators. And that was all about productization. So really trying to work out, how we were going to actually build this, how we were going to manufacture a product that we could mass produce.
Yeah.
And here we are today, Kickstarter, and we've done, extremely well, and we're actually so humbled by the support, actually. And the next step is to go and build it and distribute it to the first backers.
Absolutely, and this is a global product, right? This is, not limited to Australia, obviously, where you're both based, but global reach, I would expect.
That's right. I mean, and I think that's sort of what we really focused on is having an Australian business, but a global vision. And that's how we can scale as a business, how we can compete with other headphone companies.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's a really good point. Look, what sets the headphones apart? Obviously, you can hear back differently, and it's adapting to your ear. If I was to wear them, for example, and then I was to change, and Carl was to put them on, would they change to his ear?
Yeah. So the hearing measurement machine, which is the little bit here that's built into the inside of the headphones.
Yep.
Can measure your unique hearing profile in about 30 to 60 seconds. After it knows your profile, it can actually identify you in only 2 seconds. So if you just put them on Kyle, it will identify that it's Kyle in just 2 seconds and switch its retuning of the music to match his unique hearing. When you put it on, it does the same thing for you. It recognises this is Chloe at the end of the headphones and retunes to match your hearing. And if you listen to Kyle's hearing, Kyle's profile, for example, you'll hear maybe it'll sound flat, or maybe there'll be some bits that sound too scratchy or too tinny. And when you listen to your own profile, you'll just hear full, rich, detailed sound, perfectly tuned for you.
Wow. So onto the sort of business sort of side of things, and being a couple of young guys in stepping out into business. You said you went over to China and went to the hackathon, and have you had any other sort of mentors and help from people who have guided you along the way from a business perspective?
It's an interesting question. We've had many mentors, and it would be hard to really sort of pick one or two.
Or perhaps the relationship that you had with those mentors and how you found them, or how they found you.
Yeah, I think when you're a small company and you're just an idea to begin with, you really need people who believe in you, and you need people who can say this is possible. It gives you enormous encouragement and allows you to actually go out and do it, essentially, take the big leap and, succeed in that way.
Yeah. Have you ever had an experience where maybe one of those mentors has suggested something that you don't think is quite true to Neura and what you're all about, and you've had to kind of get together and say, no, we're not going to go in that direction? Because that must be challenging.
It is challenging. It's difficult to hear different opinions and to try and make sense of that world, and that's why we kind of stick just to I guess, the fundamentals of what our company does and understand our team and our vision. Because there are 1,000 ideas out there and it's really hard to know what to listen to. For example, a lot of people try to convince us not to do Kickstarter.
Okay.
So, I mean, that obviously would have been a bad move.
Yes, yeah, it's serving you pretty well at the moment.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so when you're creating the product, when do you have expectation of when you'll be to market, for example?
April 2017 we'll be shipping to the very first backers, and then we'll shift to a direct sort of distribution model where people can buy off our website.
Fantastic. So the website's out. There's a good point. We'll go on to technology now. How do you see yourself marketing the product? Obviously, coming on a show like this and talking about it, but I mean, it's a huge consumer product. I would have thought it's going to be snapped off the shelves in every airport for starters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at the headphone space, there hasn't really been a lot of innovation in terms of sound. It's focused on features like adding Bluetooth, noise cancellation, these sorts of things. What we focus on is what headphones were really designed for in the first place, and that's for listening to music.
Yeah.
And we really believe that if we make a great product, we ship it to the first backers, then they'll talk about it. So we believe in the power of our very first backers, our first evangelists, and their ability to essentially market the product for us.
Yep. Are you using social media to kind of talk about what you're doing?
A little bit. Actually, our social media presence was very small before Kickstarter.
Sure.
What we relied on was basically going around and showing people and, speaking to journalists and showing them, getting articles written about what we're doing and honest reviews of the product.
Does it sometimes feel like things are just happening so quickly? I mean, it's been 14 months. How has it been for you, Luke, the last 14 months?
It's been a very rapid roller coaster. So, gone from studying in a lab to prototyping in Melbourne to, I don't know if you're aware, we spent the first 4 months of this year in Shenzhen, China at the Hacks Accelerator program Carl was speaking about earlier. Wow. And it is just another world there in terms of the speed that you can get things done. For the run-up to Kickstarter, the ability to rapidly prototype both the physical form of the headphones and the electronics and the hardware that goes in the magic, where all the magic's done in the electronics on the inside. And not to mention the direct connections with all the manufacturers, which is just essential if you actually want to make something at scale.
Wow.
And then we've spent the last couple of weeks going around the world showing everyone we can so they can experience the sound and tell everyone they know.
Amazing. Sounds tough. You'll have to talk to Steve of the Points Whisperer about going around first class to talk to everybody about your headphones.
We actually had a conversation before the show about that.
There you go. Perfect. So quickly, we do have to wrap up, but just quickly, what advice would you give to others starting out in sort of the entrepreneur space?
I think it's hard to give advice because we're such a young company, but I'd say fundamentally you need to have a vision. You need to understand how that vision will scale, and you need to have a really great team.
Fantastic.
So the team needs to be diverse, but it needs to be a contained diversity of sorts where you're all focused and unified with a core vision.
Fantastic. Pretty much the same for you there, Luke?
I totally agree on that point. You definitely need co-founders, and you need co-founders who are not clones of you. You need people with very different skill sets and who have different opinions to you as well.
A really great piece of advice. Thanks, guys. We actually have to wrap up. I actually could talk about this for ages. So, Neuro headphones, I'm one to watch. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do next. So, thank you so much. That's it for me at Business Success. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's show. I think it's really interesting and inspiring. It's probably made us all want to go on a holiday, has done me. I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you and good night.